day of the World Economic Forum has wrapped up in Davos. The conflicts in Gaza, Ukraine at the top of the agenda. Among those participating in the talks on Thursday are leaders from Israel, Ukraine, and Iraq. But technology is also taking center stage. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman discussed concerns over AI, saying it comes with a very high stake and raises moral questions. At a panel on technology and humanity, he tried to temper concerns from AI skeptics. ChatGPT is one of the several generative AI systems. However, Altman admitted ChatGPT will have to evolve in uncomfortable ways.
It's easy to imagine with this one that it's going to have like massive effects on the world and that it could go very wrong. The technological direction that we've been trying to push it in is one that we think we can make safe, and that includes a lot of things. It's we believe in iterative deployment, so we put this technology out into the world along the way so people get used to it, so we have time as a society, our institutions have time to have these discussions, figure out how to regulate this, how to put some guardrails in place.
OpenAI catapulted onto the scene with its generative AI chatbot, ChatGPT, in 2022. Now, his comments come as the IMF is warning of negative risks of AI on jobs. The IMF says AI could affect nearly 40% of jobs around the world. High-income economies would face greater risk, with about 60% of jobs likely to be impacted. The IMF chief said that AI could worsen income and wealth inequality, both between countries and within countries. Workers with the right skills would see immediate benefits to productivity and salaries, but those that don't have access to AI are at the risk of falling further behind. Joining us to talk more about these discussions of AI at Davos is Tom Taulli. He's a columnist and author of the book Artificial Intelligence Basics. Welcome to the show. I can't think of a more perfect guest to talk about it because, you know, you talk to 10 people, everyone kind of knows what it is, but as you dig a little deeper, it becomes quite confusing because we're not really sure what we're supposed to do with AI. I get it. We're going to be more productive, but why then so many people are so worried about it?
Yeah, and the irony about this is that it's the people in the industry who create these technologies who seem to be the most worried. And if they're worried, then maybe we should be worried because they must know more than we know about this. And it's also different from how other technologies have emerged, like social media. When those came about, there wasn't much worry about it. But I think what's important here is when Altman, in one of his discussions, said that it's reassuring that people are taking a skeptical approach, so that over time, society has a way to adapt to this technology. But as you mentioned, it is very complicated. It's very difficult to figure out where to go, and there will probably be problems along the way. It's still very new with ChatGPT and generative AI, but I think especially as we get towards the elections, I think we're going to see some of the downsides here.
Over the course of history, we have gone through, I think you're about as young as I am, so to speak. Cell phones were invented. That eliminated a lot of jobs. The internet, all these things, all these technologies were about efficiency. So now we have less people working at banks. We have less people at ticket counters. All the jobs that once involved people actually having to make decisions, there's just simply less of them everywhere you go, in fact. How is this technology different when it comes to risk versus all the other ones that we've already gone through?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at jobs, I mean, you just mentioned, we have more, jobs here in this country than in decades. So, it seems like technology really hasn't had much of an impact on it. And these technological revolutions a lot of times have created more opportunities for jobs and more newer types. Who would have thought you'd be a social media consultant, or all these different types of new job roles that have emerged because of technology. But this time is different, and Altman did discuss this in his presentation, and he said that what's different this time is this is more thinking technology. Higher level thinking, reasoning, engaging in really sophisticated concepts, and that infringes on some of the areas that that are very human and where we think we set ourselves apart from the machines. I mean, machines can outdo us in mathematics, but writing a great novel or doing a lot of these other creative endeavors, we always thought we were different, but now we're getting the sense that maybe we're not as different, and that could pose some really big problems for jobs where you think you're secure and you're really not because the computers can take it over.
Is it the fear that the computers are essentially not better than us, but really the replacement of the computers doing it not only faster, but in some cases making us as humans obsolete? You mentioned the thinking and creativity. Yes, you can go to AI now and have them develop different backgrounds for this set, for example, and I'm sure you come up with 20 or 30 or 50 of them. Does that mean that the folks who currently do this now wouldn't really have a job, or would they be using AI to make themselves perhaps more efficient?
Yeah, I think this IMF study is really interesting. They didn't really set a timeline of when this would happen, so I think it's going to take time for it to play out. In the near term, this technology is, Microsoft calls it a co-pilot, and I think that's a good description because you still need a pilot. I mean, it just doesn't do things on its own. The technology needs a pilot to guide it. And what ultimately happens is this technology becomes a helper, something that can enhance your abilities and your productivity and make your work better. So I think in the near term, we're probably not going to see much impact on jobs. But over time, these systems will probably be more autonomous and do things on their own and be more self-directed. And that's where the big danger comes. But that could be years off. So I'm not too much concerned about that in the near term.
There was some talk that, remember back a couple elections ago, there were talk like social media had a huge impact on who went out to vote or why they voted the way they did. And today we're talking about the potential that is of AI influencing people with, I hate to use the word, but fake news.
Yeah, get ready for fake news or deep fakes, maybe more particular. What's different now, with the false social media, it was more about text and maybe some images that were manipulated. But now this AI can manipulate video and can do it so quickly. I mean, and almost anybody can do it with these systems. So they can manipulate the voice, the image, the movement of the person. It almost seems real-like. So, if a person gets a lot of their media from social media, and they see these false videos and they're kind of in their own echo chamber, they may think that's reality. It may seem like it because it looks like that person is saying certain things completely wrong and completely made up, but it doesn't matter, and that could impact how people look at that. So I think the big thing now is just how easily available this AI technology is to create these deep fake videos, which look very realistic.
For regular folks like us, who are far from an expert at AI, we are aware of it. I'm sure a lot of people want to learn about it and maybe incorporate that into their personal lives. Where would you begin that education process? Where do we begin with AI 101?
With AI 101, I would look at, I would probably try out the ChatGPT, the free version. You don't necessarily have to go to the paid version, and just try it out and play with it. And then what you can do is learn about something called prompt engineering. And that is the ability to use these systems to get better results. And that's what the big problem right now is, that people go to these systems and they'll just be a chat bot there, a chat box. And what do you put in there? What do I say? How do I say it? And people just kind of, they may just freeze up or go somewhere else. So you need to know how to interact with these systems to get the best results. But if you don't know, it's like that garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know what to say or how to say it, you're not going to get the best results. So there are a lot of great resources on YouTube and across the internet for free that show how to do prompt engineering. But first, just experiment and learn about ChatGPT, and then go to the next stage of learning something about prompt engineering to get more impact and more use out of these systems.